Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on Tuesday, the 15th of August. As always, we bring you the news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I am Ashwin Berry. In the news tonight, National Planning Commission Director General Obed Kanjode says Namibians must be careful not to chase away investors by introducing policy changes that could dissuade investors from putting their money in Namibia. Ohone Klage reports.
Even if you see them on newspapers or on TV, they are only building schools. They are not building studios and build where artists can also create their things. We don't have an office in Namibia as artists. We don't have a place where we can come together and talk about our creativeness. But people, they use our music in their cars, they use our music on their TV and all that. They are robbing us. Actually, they should be arrested. So we need police. Police only collect other things, but they don't collect what people are robbing their creatives. So now the other thing I want to say is the National Fund. Where does this fund come from? Where is the budget come from for annual budget of this country? Is it just coming from heaven or is it coming from somewhere? Because we don't know where this fund comes. Where do they collect this money to put together for the nation? Does it come from our national resources? And which national resources fund this fund? And how much also come from all the mines, the fish, everything we have? That is ours, God has given us. It's not for the other countries. The other countries are protecting their national resources. Look what Russia is doing. They are controlling their country.
Artist Banana Shikupe says the arts industry is not enjoying the necessary attention it should get from the central government. Ohone Klage reports.
Policy change has to protect the future for the longest which we have depended on investors. That array of group of people with money that risk it down holes and up the mountains and valleys, and now the sun, the wind, and the water. And I plead, can we protect these? Not to say we cannot, but we, the government and its people, must approach the change in policy and how we go about it, considering how far we got without putting a cent and what we got, and maturely mimic examples of other important lessons in the world, just so that we don't abruptly disturb and destroy what we have. That relationship would continually play an important role going forward.
That was actually an event with the Civil Society Information Center in Namibia, and we will be bringing you that story tomorrow. Moving on, President Hage Geingob, chairperson of the Southern Africa Development Community Organ Troika, is expected to attend the 43rd Ordinary SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government in Luanda, Angola this week. President Geingob will depart for Angola tomorrow and will return on Thursday evening. The summit is scheduled to take place on 16 to 17 August in Luanda and will convene under the theme Human and Financial Capital, the key drivers for sustainable industrialization of the SADC region. State House announced the president's attendance in a statement issued yesterday. The 43rd Ordinary SADC Summit is set to evaluate the advancement of key priorities outlined in the SADC Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2020 to 2030. It is also poised to address the execution of the SADC Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap 2015 to 2063 and the progress made in its undertaking to promote industrialization through agro-processing, mineral beneficiation, and regional value chains for inclusive and resilient economic growth. In our Story of the Day segment, the tourism minister says tourist arrivals increased by 98%. Stay with Sunset News.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Watch as Tourism Minister Pohamba Shifeta announces that there was a 98.1% increase in international tourist arrivals from 232,756 in 2021 to 461,027 in 2022. He announced this at the launch of the Tourist Statistics Report for 2022 today. Elani Smith reports.
I'm delighted to report a record of 98.1% increase in international and inbound tourist arrivals from 232,756 arrivals in 2021 to 461,027 arrivals in 2022. This figure indicates a 28.9% recovery level from the annual tourist arrivals of 2019. Many factors contributed to the positive growth trend. This, amongst others, is the overall confidence of tourists in our destination Namibia, ease of access to the country, reformed visa regime, availability of more airline seats to Namibia, aggressive marketing and promotional campaigns, presence and participation at international platforms, hosting of business meetings, events, the increase in the country's brand awareness globally, and also quality of experience and offering.
In community news, after the break, NAST Alumni launches its first ever walk-run initiative.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In an initiative to raise funds for underprivileged students, the Namibia University of Science and Technology Alumni Association today officially launched their first ever walk-run dinner sports initiative held at the High-Tech Transfer Plaza Select. It will source funds to assist undergraduate and postgraduate students with registration fees for the 2024 academic year and is scheduled to take place on 30 September. Mariud Ngulai reports.
Of the Walk, Run, the NAST initiative. She will assist the association in promoting and marketing this event. Her involvement in this project will significantly amplify our efforts in making a tangible difference in the lives of those students aspiring to pursue higher education at NAST but face financial constraints. We are indeed grateful to have her on board. So really we thought of getting someone to really also, amplify the whole message and the activity that we are planning to have. So she is a sports science graduate, and we thought since she's also a good national athlete, it will be good for us to also have someone of that caliber on board. Let me take this opportunity to invite potential sponsors and corporates to join us in this journey and support us either in kind or contribute towards the NAST Alumni Social Wealth Fund. We thank our potential sponsors in advance already because we are in talks with some of them. We are in talks with some of them for really showing interest in supporting us in this quest as we lend a helping hand to the unprivileged prospective students. Director of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the residents of the great city of Windhoek and the general public in particular to participate in the Walk, Run, the NAST initiative which is scheduled to take place on the 30th of September 2023. To participate in this initiative, NAST alumni members are required to pay 100 Namibian dollars. That's very low, yeah? Very low. While non-members are expected to pay 120 Namibian dollars just to participate. We have also made provision for children to participate in this activity by only paying 50 Namibian dollars. Now, all proceeds to these registration fees will go to the NAST Alumni Social Welfare Fund, which will of course fund our unprivileged students. Registrations can be done through the link that will be provided on our official artwork and on the NAST website. I think this morning many of you received some SMSs. Yeah, so if you are part of the alumni database, please don't disappoint us. You know, register now while it's early. Yeah, we want to see even 5,000 people. Are we ready, Exco, to end? 5,000 people. So really, please do register and take part in this initiative.
Now, a weak exchange rate is inflationary as imports become expensive. Stay with us as we head into economic news shortly.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Dit is weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
In economic news, a weak exchange rate is inflationary as imports become expensive. The South African rand, which is pegged to the Namibian dollar, took a hit, breaking through the 19 rand US dollar exchange rate level and trading around its weakest level in a month. It has lost almost 5% to the dollar over the past month. The rand hit a record low of 19.80 in May this year. According to Simone Storm's economic outlook, the rand US dollar exchange rate averaged 18.68 in the second quarter of 2023 compared to 15.59 in the corresponding quarter of 2022. The rand is one of the worst performing emerging market currencies against the US dollar since the start of 2023. Let's head into the financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 19.12 next to the US dollar, with 20.87 Namibian dollars getting you €1. Copper managed an uptick, staying on the same level actually, but Brent crude oil, platinum and gold registered some downturns. In international news, UK Prime Minister Sunak sees light at the end of the tunnel on inflation. Stay with us.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news. Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
In international news, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said there was light at the end of the tunnel for his government's plan to halve inflation, adding that progress had been made despite record wage growth reported earlier today, which could fuel future inflation pressure. Sunak told British broadcasters on Tuesday that only by reducing inflation would skyrocketing interest rates also fall.
Inflation is my number one priority to bring down, and that's why I set it out in my 5 priorities as the first one. Why? Because it's inflation that's making people feel poorer. It's eating into the savings in their bank account, making sure there's less money that they have at the end of the month, and that's why we need to bring it down, and that's how we'll also bring down interest rates and ease the pressure on people's mortgages. Now, we are making progress. I'm not complacent, and we'll have more numbers this week which hopefully show continued downward movement on inflation, but we've got to stick to the plan. That means taking the right responsible decisions for the economy, being responsible with borrowing, with public sector pay. And if we do that, we will bring inflation down, ease the burden on the cost of living for people. And I think people can trust me. They know that I know how to manage the economy. I will get inflation down for everyone, ease the burden on the cost of living. And in doing that, we will also be able to bring interest rates down over time too. That day, I announced the first ever long-term workforce plan for the NHS, which no one's ever done before. So for the first time, we set out a decades-long plan for massively training more doctors, more nurses, more of everything. Look, interest rates obviously are a question for the Bank of England, but the best way to be able to bring interest rates down and stop them going up is to bring inflation down. That's why my first priority of my 5 priorities is to halve inflation. And we are making progress. The last set of numbers we had showed that inflation was falling faster than people expected. Now, we've got work to do. We'll get more numbers tomorrow, but it's important that we stick to the plan. The plan is working. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, and if we get through this, people will really start to see the benefit in their bank accounts, in their pockets, as inflation starts to fall.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump was hit with a sweeping 4th set of criminal charges yesterday when a Georgia grand jury issued an indictment accusing him of efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss to Democrat Joe Biden. The charges brought by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis add to the legal woes facing Trump, the frontrunner in the race for the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential election. The case stems from a January 2021 phone call in which Trump urged Georgia's top election official, Brad Raffensperger, to find enough votes to reverse his narrow loss in the state. Raffensperger declined to do so.
Today, based on information developed by that investigation, a Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state. The indictment includes 41 felony counts and is 97 pages long. Please remember that everyone charged in this bill of indictment is presumed innocent. Specifically, the indictment brings felony charges against Donald John Trump, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani, John Charles Eastman, Mark Randall Meadows, John Cheeseborough, Jeffrey Clark. Every individual charged in the indictment is charged with 1 count of violating Georgia's Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act through participation in a criminal enterprise in Fulton County, Georgia, and elsewhere to accomplish the illegal goal of allowing Donald J. Trump to seize the presidential term of office beginning on January 20th, 21. Specifically, the participants in association took various actions in Georgia and elsewhere to block the counting of the votes of the presidential electors who were certified as the winners of Georgia's 2020 general election. The indictment alleges that rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. Subsequent to the indictment, as is the normal process in Georgia law, the grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that story as it unfolds. Let's get straight into the weather forecast. Windhoek is expecting partly cloudy conditions with a 12-degree minimum, whilst it will be sunny in Katima, Rundu, Enana and Oshakati. It looks like Oranjemund is going to be slightly colder with an 11-degree minimum and partly cloudy conditions, whilst Henties Bay expects a 17 degrees Celsius maximum. Stay with Sunset News. After the break, we head over to the Sports Wrap desk for our sports stories.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Good evening and welcome to your Sunset News Sports section. This is your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. Brave Warriors coach Colin Benjamin says his decision to recall retired Brave Warriors captain and current African Stars Football Club midfielder Ronald Keshere was motivated by the players' discipline and his determination to stay fit. Keshere, who retired from the national team after the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, was yesterday named part of the 43-man squad ahead of the country's friendly match against South Africa in September. Keshere has played over 58 times for the Brave Warriors, winning the 2015 COSAFA Cup. The Namibian karate team left over the weekend for the 2023 Cadets, Junior and Senior African Karate Championships in Casablanca, Morocco. The competition is taking place from 17 to 20 August. The championships will see a total of 7 athletes take part in the karate and kumite, accompanied by the national team coach Stefan van der Merwe. Simona Storm men's and women's teams dominated the Nedbank Windhoek Pedal Power Race Series team time trials race in Windhoek last Sunday. A total of 27 women and 40 male cyclists competed. In the women's race, the Simona Storm women's team of Henri Krugel, Benita Windich, Lelani Swart and Annek Steenkamp and Meike Pochert clocked 48 minutes 56 seconds to win the race ahead of Irene Stein, Risa Dreyer, Sikelbin, Marian Schonecker and Belinda van Rijn. From the MBL ladies team, they clocked 50 minutes and 35 seconds. That brings us to the end of tonight's show. Goodbye.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Thank you for staying with Sunset News. Let's get into the highlights from this evening's broadcast. President Hage Geingob, chairperson of the Southern Africa Development Community Organ Troika, is expected to attend the 43rd Ordinary SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government in Luanda, Angola this week. National Planning Commission Director General Obed Kanjode says Namibians must be careful not to chase away investors by introducing policy changes that could dissuade investors from putting their money in Namibia. And the Namibian karate team left over the weekend for the 2023 Cadets, Junior and Senior African Karate Championships in Casablanca, Morocco. The competition is taking place from 17 to 20 August. And with that, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook on all the NMH platforms on weekdays and Sundays, as well as on our website, oneup2.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every weekday and Sunday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. This has been Sunset News. My name is Ashwin Betty. Don't end your day without us.